Hello everybody, Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at Fan's hobby, MB-06 Power Baser. In other words, we are taking a look at Fan's hobby's rendition of Power Master Optimus Prime. The figure comes with everything you see here. We have the engine, the main cab, the trailer, the two double blasters, and the two single blasters here on up at the top. If it looks like it's a little off kilter, that's because it's kind of rolling up the side of my backdrop here. And speaking of rolling, the figure rolls with no problems because of these wonderfully nice rubbery wheels. This is some really good rubber done on these wheels. Now, there are a few little minor issues that I have with the figure in this mode. The first of which is the way it connects to the cab. It is this little connector that is just pegging into those two pegs, and it just pops off. I mean, it doesn't even grab on very well. You can turn the cab, but the guns get in the way, so just be aware of that. And the other main issue I have is the combined mode head is sitting right underneath that front component there. It just keeps getting in the way and keeps rubbing up against things, and if you've got it transformed incorrectly, it rubs up on the ground. It's not the best placement for a giant combined head, but what else? Well, what are you going to do? I mean, really, what can you do? The cab itself looks really nifty. I like the way it looks. It's kind of like a combination between MP-10 Prime and Striker Manus from Make Toys. It holds together incredibly well once you got everything pegged in correctly. And as long as you don't mistransform it like I have here, it just looks neat. It is a wonderful cab mode. I like it quite a bit. And when you compare it to MP-10 Prime's cab mode, you could see that they are very similar, in size at least, but in execution they are vastly different. Prime, or MP-10 Prime, transforms exactly the same way, almost exactly the same way as his G1 toy does, while Power Baser transforms very similarly to the way that the original Power Master Optimus Prime transforms. I really like the dichotomy between the two. I think it's really interesting to see how this guy, Power Baser, could be a potential evolution of MP-10 Prime. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed that the engine, or Power Master, is up here on the top of the trailer and not here on the front of the vehicle. According to directions, this is where the engine dude should be residing. And the little engine dude himself is very cool. He transforms exactly the same way as the original figure does. And he's got plenty of articulation, surprisingly. He's got the rotation in the head, a ball joint in the shoulder, over 90-degree bend, or roughly 90-degree bend in the elbow. He's got a ball joint in the hip, a hinge there just below it, and another hinge in the knee. So it's posable. It can pose. You can actually pose this little dude, which is a first. I don't think I've ever seen an Engine Master being able to be posed. Size-wise, Power Baser's engine dude is roughly the same height as a Power Master's decoy armor. Here we've got Cloudburst. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the transformation for at least the cab. And the transformation is as I said, very similar to the original G1 figure. Now, it is a little bit more complicated, as you might expect, and you do not need the engine guy to be pegged in for the transformation. But it is a nice effect. So the first thing we're going to do is push the grill in, and it will snap into place. And then you could just peg the little engine dude onto it, like so. And that looks okay. And then come to the sides and flip out these panels and flip them down towards the wheels. Then come up to the blue sections behind the cab and kind of pull them apart until they snap apart. That will allow you to fold the entire hips down and then fold in these panels, like so. Reach underneath the front of the cab, or the back of the cab, and flip out this metal grill section, which is incredibly hard to do. But before we do that, come to the wheels section, unpeg them, and then fold them up underneath the cab. And then push the wheels up underneath as well, like so. Now we could take the entire shoulder section where the arms are and pull it forward, and then we can flip the head up, which is very pointy and sharp. And then this panel here, push that down, and then close the entire section up, and then fold the shoulders all the way back until they snap into place. And if you've noticed, the engine dude has already fallen off. Come down to the back of the legs, fold out these red components, split the legs, and then slide the legs down until they snap into place, and then close those red panels up again, and they will hold position there. Come down to the feet, fold out these little grill sections, fold the feet forward, come to the underside of the feet, and flip out these panels, and fold out the heels. And then once you do that, just go ahead and kind of twist the hinges there on the bottom of the, or I'm sorry, not on the bottom of the feet, but at the ankles until everything gets lined up into place. Come to the crotch and flip up the crotch skirts like that. Flip them out and forward, and then grab the hips and pull them forward. And by pull forward, there's just a little bit of movement that they could do forward. And then flip out the chest or the grill piece again. It has a tendency to just keep falling forward. Once that's done, fold the abdomen up until that little tiny peg pegs into the peg hole there, and then just get everything situated. Fold out the arms, open the bottom of the forearms, and flip out the hands. And then you're done. The cab robot mode looks freaking fantastic. I love the coloring. I love the proportions. Everything about this guy looks great. The head sculpt looks cool as well, but it does look really strange having this really neat head and then this stalk of a ball joint sticking out from underneath it. The figure is also incredibly posable, possessing over 26 points of articulation. It can also hold several different types of guns. It can hold the double blaster guns. All of the guns have taken the cue from Make Toys and have that little channel built into all of the handles. And the hands have that little channel built in as well. So when you put a gun into his hand, it stays there. It doesn't flop around. Something that's cool about the big black guns is that, well, it has this mode, but then you pull the main barrel off, turn it around, and flip out this other handle, and you wind up with this smaller gun that works, I think, better in the hands and to scale for this specific figure. I think that works a lot better. It doesn't look nearly as cool, obviously, but I think it does work better. As I said, the figure is incredibly posable and very well proportioned as well. And what that means is you could pull off some really great poses, but he's also going to stay where you put him. The one issue I did run into was with the knees, and that was just because I hadn't had the knees pulled out far enough before they clicked into place. And I fixed that by just re-looking at the directions again and pulling a little harder. Everything feels good on the figure. All of the ratchet and joints are tight, and the overall aesthetic that we end up with is quite good for this cab mode. It's also the exact same size and height as MP10 Prime, though there is a little bit of empty, well, there's no beating around the bush. His belly is a little bit hollow. It almost feels like there's supposed to be panels that flip out here to close it up a little bit, but there aren't, or at least none that I could find. We're going to go ahead and get into the combined mode now. The first thing we're going to do is sort of return the figure back to vehicle mode. We've transformed the torso quite a bit. Then we need to transform the legs a little bit. First thing we're going to do is put the crotch skirts back where they belong, and turn the legs 180 degrees, and then push the hips forward again. Then come down to the legs, keep the feet where they are, take the wheels, and actually push them towards the front of the shins, which requires quite a bit of force, actually. Then we can combine the legs. We don't have to, but we can. And sort of just come back here, flip out these red panels again, and then fold the legs up over the back of the vehicle mode and collapse the red panel back over the top of the cab and get everything lined up into place. And this is tricky, I'm not going to lie. Getting all this lined up, getting everything snapped into place is not exactly easy. Coming to the trailer. I was originally going to show you guys the base mode, but honestly, I don't like the base mode. I think it's an afterthought, so I'm not going to show it to you simply because I don't think it's that good. It really isn't. It just looks like it's doing the splits and pointing the arms out backwards. It's dumb. Okay, so trailer. Transformation is actually way more complex than I thought it was originally going to be. To start off with, we're going to come to the top of the trailer and split the rear of the trailer apart just enough so that the middle gray sections can break apart. Then fold these sections out and fold them out like this, flip them around, and then slide them down on those hinges, and then these will fold, or these panels will fold down, and they will peg into place. Now, if you stand the trailer up, you can kind of see how this is going to go, but there are actually a couple of little things here and there that really make this transformation fascinating to me. Not particularly easy, but definitely fascinating. All right, now that we've got those sections done, we split the legs apart, come down to what would be the feet, fold the blue sections up into the bottom of the feet, and take these other blue sections and just fold them back like that. And then these sections get folded up like that. And it feels like you're supposed to fold them, oh, no, sorry, in like that, not out. Okay, then we can take the legs and pull them all the way out until they clip into place, which you just heard. Then come down to the back, unpeg these little triangles and fold them forward. First, you gotta flip some other things out of the way. Oh, and these aren't pulled down all the way because those are supposed to peg into place. Pull the feet forward, grab what are the ankles, these big blue sections, and pull them out like that. And then we grab the entire section and fold it forward like that. Then take the knee section and slide them down into what are going to be, or slide them up like that, so we have some actual articulation. Though the directions have you moving this back and then sliding this down into the foot, which I don't think it's supposed to be like that, but I've seen it on the directions and I've seen it in other spots. Next, take the rear tires and push them into the blue section as far as they will go, then grab the wheel arches and fold them out, spin them around, and then cover the front of the wheels. Then we can push it down like that. And do that for both sides. One issue that I have is there is a button that controls the extension of the feet. That button is really, really easy to push, so you do have a tendency to push that button a bit and the legs will collapse. So just be aware of that. And now we're going to get into the upper torso. To start with, take the plug that plugs into the vehicle mode, flip it back, and then take the entire back panel, unpeg it, and move the head out of the way and flip the whole section down like that. Then we can come to the center here. First, grab these white bits, flip them up, out, and around to form the crotch skirts. Then take the arms, fold them all the way back, unpeg them, unpeg these silver components, and then flip the arms out just like the original figure, and then come to the back of the forearms and flip out the fists, like that. Come to the chest section, open up these little doors, and then on the inside of this section are these grooves, and those grooves line up with these pegs that are on the outside of the cab. And this is actually the hardest part because you get that lined up, and then this little divot here in the front of the crotch is supposed to peg into that brick right there. And this is actually a little bit more tricky because things don't always want to line up, even if you've got everything transformed correctly, which I'm not sure I do right now. But okay, there, I think we got everything. The next bit we can do is then fold the rear up over the legs, bring the head through the feet, and then peg it in at the top of those red wind panels. Once we get everything lined up again. And then once we do that, we can then play with a couple of different things, get things situated, and then take these panels, fold them back, and peg them into this guy right here. Fully combined Power Baser looks absolutely fan-freaking-tastic, and just, the figure's huge. It is so cool. My figure, or at least my transforming of the figure, you could see that he's got a little bit of an issue here on the top, just underneath the head. It's not that huge a deal. It's a big, heavy Power Master Optimus Prime version. I really like it a lot. Here is Titans Returns Leader Class Soundwave for scale. You can see just how big this thing is. I mean, it's big. Here are some other third-party Prime-based figures for you, just for comparison. As you can see, the combined mode of Power BASER just towers above all of them. Fully loaded up with all of his guns, he looks even better. And I love the way this figure looks. It just works so well. It's also way bigger than MP-10 Prime in robot mode. And it's one of the biggest third-party figures that I own right now. My friends over at The Chosen Prime have got an excellent gallery that I will link to down in the description. I suggest that you check it out when you have a chance. I picked this figure up at The Chosen Prime, and the figure is also going to be available just before Christmas at thechosenprime.com as well. So head on over there to pick it up. The figure is also available over at Big Bad Toy Store. So gang, I hope you have enjoyed this video review of Fans Hobby Power BASER. It's probably one of the coolest figures that I've gotten a hold of this year. I also saw a Fans Hobby version of Overlord that's going to be coming next year at TFCon 2017. And if you think this dude is big, that Overlord is way bigger. Thank you so much for watching this video review. Hit that like button down there, give me a subscribe if you love the video review, and as always, I am Baltmatrix, and I will catch you next time.